I was shocked. It cost me a bucket of money. I was watching. I had bet the fight before I left the country with my friends at Fox Bet. I then, of course, while I'm out of the country at a nice little international gambling establishment, the fight's about to come on. I bet the fight again because I thought Deontay Wilder was going to win. And not only did he not win, Greg, he got annihilated. That fight was over in the third round. He was out on his feet in the third round, and then from that moment forward, you had to start to be pretty concerned for him. There was a moment in the fifth round where I said to my wife, who was watching with me from the spot where we were, that if he doesn't get knocked out, and I didn't think he was going to get knocked out because Wilder's so tough, and he kept getting up, this is the type of fight that changes the trajectory of your career, does damage to you that you do not recover from. And it went on a couple rounds after that. I thought what Fury did, and listen, I am not an X's and O's boxing analyst, but I love the sport. I've always loved the sport. We don't talk about it because there's not often fights quite this big. What Fury was able to do in identifying clearly before the fight where Wilder's defensive weaknesses were, exploiting them. Fury switching up his stance a few times mid-fight, then switching back. Wilder had no answer and was just... I thought Fury won every single round. You could argue maybe Wilder barely won the second, but probably not. It was a total, thorough domination that the only critique I would have had is it maybe should have ended earlier. That the corner maybe should have thrown the towel earlier. It should have been called earlier because Wilder was done by the middle of the fourth round without any question.
I was thoroughly surprised, and I was more surprised from a standpoint of this. Boxers, well, I'll just look at Wilder. Wilder, he's a puncher. Fury, he's a boxer. And we saw him box, and we saw Wilder try to punch a boxer. And what I didn't like is when you possess so much skill, so much talent, so much power in your punches, it forces you to rely on that more than it does anything else. And what I mean by that is I didn't see Wilder come out wanting to be a boxer and honing his craft. And that's, as an athlete, as a competitor, you know, and Fury knew it. Going into it, we saw him pre-game, we saw him leading up to the fight. He was so comfortable and so relaxed because he knew, dude, I got it. There's so much that I've studied and watched that I am going to outbox this guy. Which is
amazing because, I mean, obviously neither of these guys had ever lost. It's not like he was fighting a guy who someone else had exploited these weaknesses against. The only time Wilder hadn't won a fight was the one against Fury the last time.
Yes.
When Wilder, I thought, knocked him out cold in the 12th round, and then Fury did the Undertaker at the 6th count and somehow got up to salvage the draw.
All right, we saw the match. We saw the rematch. How badly do you want to see these guys do this again for a third time?
I'm really curious what you think about this, Greg, because going into this fight, I would have said there is nothing that could happen that would not make me want to see part 3. That if one of them gets knocked out in the first round, if it goes no matter what, I'm going to want to see part 3. Because nobody could be up 2-0 because the first one was a draw. So we would need a part 3. Man, I watched this and I said, I'll watch it if there is, but I don't think there's a need for a third.
No. To see it.
And Wilder, I know, can activate an option to get a third, to get a rematch. It was in the fight contract. Man, if I'm Wilder's people, you got to find a reason to not do it, an explanation. And by the way, I do not like Tyson Fury at all, and I adore Deontay Wilder. His story is amazing. I sat with him and talked with him 6 years ago at the Super Bowl, right when it was 6 years ago. It was a long time ago, when he was kind of coming on it. I love him. But he can't. This is what we saw Saturday night. There is no reason to believe it would go differently if they fought 10 times. Unless you hit him. It's heavyweight boxing, so you can always hit him with one. But I mean, to me, Fury was that dominant that I don't know that we even need a third one.
Yeah, I'm with you. He was so tactical, Fury was, to where you don't believe that there's anything that Deontay Wilder could do to surmount that, to trump it. And for me, it's Wilder knew it. Wilder knew it the entire fight, specifically from the second round on. It was like, oh, shoot, I have to get a paw on this guy or I'm not going to be able to beat him. And you could see it, you could sense it, and once Fury senses it, once your competitor senses it, it's over.
It's over.
And I truly believe, like you, there is no need for a third fight.
I remember when the Niners played the Packers in the regular season, and I came here on the show the next day and I said, the Packers can make the Super Bowl, but they need someone to beat the Niners for them. I then foolishly picked the Packers to beat the Niners because I'm an idiot. But there was just what one team was good at. So listen, for Wilder, Fury Joshua is now the fight everyone wants to see.
Yep.
It would be the biggest fight in the history of British boxing, would unify all the belts. What Wilder in his heart, whether he'll say it or not, is hoping Anthony Joshua win that fight, and then Wilder takes in and takes on Joshua, and maybe that's stylistically different. I don't see how Wilder can overcome what just happened on Saturday against Fury.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.